You'd think serving your country for over a decade would earn you a little respect at home. But apparently, the HOA didn't get the memo. While I was stationed overseas in a no-name desert on a Black Ops mission I can't talk about, the HOA decided I'd abandoned my property and, get this, sold it. Just like that. No notice. No phone call. Just a nice fat for sale sign where my grandmother's oak tree used to be. I found out when a buddy texted me a Zillow listing with a photo of my land. Freshly bulldozed. A little American flag flapping in the wind where the old birdhouse used to hang. They didn't just sell my land. They built a dog park on it. Called it Liberty Bark. Ironic, right? Nothing says freedom like putting up a fence around someone else's property. But what they didn't know? That land wasn't just mine. It was federally bonded through a military retention program, which meant, technically, the HOA had just developed government-protected land. Illegally, they woke the wrong vet. And when I got home, I didn't just want my land back. I wanted every entitled golf cart tyrant in that subdivision to remember the day the military took back what was theirs. Let's rewind. I bought that land back in 2012, pre-deployment. Paid cash. Quiet corner lot with lake access. No HOA at the time. It was my future home base. The soil still smelled like pine after a storm. My kind of peace. Then, while I was deployed, a developer came in, built patriotic suburban houses, and formed a mandatory HOA around my parcel. They didn't contact me, didn't even attempt to forward mail. Instead, they voted in my absence to reclaim the land for community value. My neighbors? A whole parade of Carentier residents. The kind who measure grass height with a ruler and complain when your trash bin is an inch too far from the curb. One afternoon during my short leave, I swung by in uniform just to see what they'd done. A woman, pearls, visor, and Yorkie in tow, told me, "Veterans are welcome here. But if you don't pay HOA dues, you don't belong." I asked her where she thought she was standing. She pointed at the sidewalk and said, "On our property." I said, "No, ma'am. You're standing on federal asset number 338C. And then she threatened to call the police. The HOA sent me fines. $300 a day for trespassing on my own land. That's when I knew they weren't just delusional, they were organized. Oh, and that was just the beginning. 3 months into deployment, I received a notice from the county. Transfer of ownership finalized. The HOA had forged a quiet title suit, using the argument that I'd abandoned the property. Their lawyers submitted fake certified mail returns as evidence that I'd been contacted. Back home, my mailbox was empty. My P.O. box, empty. Their claims, fabricated. Meanwhile, they built a community clubhouse, partially on my parcel, and named it the Eagle's Nest. They installed a Wi-Fi tower that used my land as an easement and charged residents extra for high-speed access. I became a revenue source. A few veterans in the neighborhood started texting me. One said he was threatened with fines for displaying an American flag on his porch. Another was told to paint over that camouflage mailbox. I compiled everything. Screenshots, photos, affidavits. Even got a retired JAG buddy to look into their land records. We discovered they'd filed under a fictitious entity to bypass certain real estate checks. One of their board members? A disbarred attorney who'd once been sued for wire fraud. The final straw? They held a community barbecue on Memorial Day, on my land, invited the whole subdivision, called it Red, White, and Chew. They even had the nerve to hang bunting on the fence post I installed. I watched the live stream from my base and clenched my fists. It was time. I contacted the Department of Defense's Property Protection Division. I presented documentation that my land was registered under a military relocation bond, which, under federal law, prevents sale or seizure without explicit DoD clearance. Their faces when they got that notice? Priceless. The next week, 4 unmarked SUVs arrived at the subdivision. A team of uniformed federal officers posted a notice on every HOA property, under investigation. Federal asset encroachment. Their community Wi-Fi tower? Shut down. Their clubhouse? Locked. Their park? Closed. Then came the best part. I filed an emergency injunction under the Federal Reclamation Act. Since the land was wrongfully developed, the entire HOA infrastructure was subject to seizure, including roads, utility access points, and yes, that oh-so-glorious Liberty Bark. For a week, residents were told to stay indoors while federal contractors mapped the area. Drones flew overhead. Dogs barked. Karens panicked. One HOA board member fainted in her driveway. And I just smiled, sipping coffee from a thermos with my unit's logo on it. The final hearing was a spectacle. The HOA argued they'd acted in the community's best interest. I presented evidence of forgery, fraud, and federal violation. The judge? A retired Navy commander. Let's just say he didn't need much convincing. Verdict: my land restored. HOA charter dissolved. $2.1 million in damages awarded, to be distributed among affected veterans, including a flag-painted mailbox guy. And the cherry on top? The subdivision's name was changed, from Liberty Acres to Veterans Watch. At my request, the new sign included a dedication plaque to those who serve and don't get steamrolled while doing it. They even gave me a key to the new clubhouse. Fitting, since it used to be mine. As I left the courtroom, a former HOA board member tried to say something. I held up a finger and said, "Shoo, let the silence remind you who owns the land." I didn't just get my land back. I got justice. For me, and for every vet who's ever come home, to find that their sacrifice was papered over by red tape and entitlement. I don't care what neighborhood you live in. Respect isn't written in bylaws. It's earned. To every HOA out there thinking they're above the law, think again. Some of us write the rules you ignore. And to everyone watching this, what would you have done? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and if you made it this far, comment "Justice served" below. Because sometimes, revenge is patriotic.